I feel like we study children's lit for a numerous amount of reasons. As far as educators are concerned, I think it's important to understand what the meaning behind the books are that we're actually reading to our kids and letting our kids read, because a lot of these books have deeper roots than what it may seem by the title or the pictures in the book. But sometimes they have they mean a lot more than what the surface may tell. So I think it's important for teachers and educators and parents to actually read what their kids are reading before giving them these books, because sometimes it may be sending a message that he or she may not want to hand down to their kids without I guess patrolling it or monitoring it per se. As far as people our age, I think it's kind of unique that most of these books are universal around the globe. Most of the books that I know and that someone of a different culture may know the same book. But it's kind of cool to just be able to connect with somebody who you may not ever spoken to because there's a language barrier. But at the end of the day, y'all both read the same books growing up. It kind of it's like books are universal. We all have always known that, but especially children's book, because everybody read kids. When we were all kids, we all read books as a child, and were read too. As far as adults and people in college and students studying children's lit, I think it's important because it kind of stems our creative side. It's kind of hard as an adult to still be creative sometimes. And they say the older you get, the less creative you get. But studying children's lit ensures that that creative side is still intact, because it's kind of hard to read the books as if you had no creative side. Like, of course you can still read it, but it's kind of difficult sitting there just reading words if you don't try to make some fun out of it or put yourself into the situation. And it also brings awareness to the literary context behind it, because a lot of people say that Shakespeare and people like him are the only type of literary geniuses, which is not the truth. Dr. Seuss is just as good as people like him, but he's kind of looked down upon simply because he writes children's books, and that's not the way it should be looked at. But the good side about children's books, is that by studying it, we kind of get to see two sides of the story, the adult side, and then how a child may look at it. And like the Rainbow Fish, we saw that to us and someone really analyzing the book, it would look like a somewhat sad story, teaching someone that they have to change themselves before being able to have a lot of friends. But looking at it from a child's perspective, it's more of a sharing story, a story where I can't be mean to someone, or he'll be mean back to me and tell other people that I'm mean, that I won't have any friends. But if I'm just nice, I'll have all the friends in the sea. And this kind of goes, of course, this would end up playing into the child's life, teaching them a somewhat good lesson, but to an adult reading the book, really analyzing the text in depth, it would seem more of a book about I don't really know the word that I'm looking for, but it would just seem like a not so happy book. As far as The Sardine is concerned, it also is one of those books where I think it's more educational than anything, because it's kind of teaching a child really what the world is like. It's not hiding it, it's just portraying it in a more broken, easier way to see it as far as farming is concerned, which would go from all animals. That at the end of the day, animals are killed for food, and we saw that with the sardine when it was put on the shelf in the grocery store, that it was in the sea, it went through this whole process, being in the net, being cleaned, being put in a can, And it's sad, but it's true. It's just teaching our kids what really is going on in the world, but at the same time, giving them a valuable life lesson.